which is a very heartfelt and very valid point sent in by Lynn. Thank you so much.
Julie Skentelbery. BBC Radio Cornwall.
We're going to go to some of Cornwall's beautiful maritime churches now, in virtual sense anyway, to talk about a new 3-part documentary series available on YouTube, which explores Cornwall's maritime churches, both the fact, the history, the legends and the folklore. And I'm delighted to say that we're going to talk to producer Vicky Jenner, who's a research fellow at the Institute of Cornish Studies of Exeter University. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Julie. Hi, lovely to see you. Hello, everyone.
Hello. What led you down the path of documenting our maritime churches?
Oh, what a good question. So I was a student to begin with at the University of Exeter's Cornwall campus, and I suppose I fell in love hard and fast with Cornwall, and so I started sort of working behind the scenes with the Institute of Cornish Studies, and I suppose a lot of the research that was coming out of the Institute at that time when I was a student was looking at sort of the maritime histories and actually the gaps within sort of historiography today. And so maritime churches ended up being one of those areas. There was a big gap. Not a lot of work had actually been done into looking into these churches. And of course, we've got so many beautiful churches across Cornwall. So we thought, what a great project this would be. So that was essentially sort of the idea behind it. But then we applied for AHRC funding and we got it, which was fantastic. And so that allowed us to continue with our exploits, with our research. We managed to bring in loads of students. I then graduated from Exeter. I was able to stay and work on the campus, which was a big dream. And yes, and we managed to go out into the community, speak to loads of people in the community, learn a lot from how people live today, memories, gather loads of oral histories, and that's sort of where it came from, really.
And of course, it doesn't hurt, does it, with a video project? They look quite pretty.
Absolutely. The landscapes are beautiful. And if you watch the 3-part documentary on YouTube, you will just fawn over all of the drone footage like I do. It's so fantastic. And there are always ways, of course. I'm always looking back at the documentary and thinking, oh, I should have done this, or I should have tweaked this a bit more. But the landscapes and the drone footage, it really did capture the intricacies of these churches in their landscapes. And I mean, Gunwallow Church is a really good example. It's one of the only churches in Cornwall that actually sits on the sand, and there's sort of historic accounts of them having to shovel all of the sand out and out of the graveyard, that is, and it's surrounded by this very robust granite wall to try and keep it away from all of the sort of crashing waves, because it's very wild on that coastline. But yes, the bird's eye view that you get from that particular episode, I think that's episode 2 and episode 3, it's just remarkable. It really is.
So we've got the very scenic stuff, but let's talk about some of the stories. And you divide it into 3 episodes, and I think let's just chat through the themes. The first episode is about the folklore and legends. Tell me your favourite tale that features in that episode that you uncovered.
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I was battling this morning. I was thinking, what should I talk about? Because I'm not sure if it is my favourite, but I think it is the most memorable, and that is Tintagel. And the reason I choose Tintagel is because I think it really profoundly embraces its folklore. And that if you've been to Tintagel, I'm sure many people have, it's a bit of a tourist hotspot and a bit of a tourist trap for a reason. And I think that's because they've really moulded their whole identity on this King Arthur sort of legend that I think was really exacerbated in the 19th century by this chap called Sir Alfred Tennyson, who in 1859 published this book called Morte d'Arthur, and it essentially sort of taps into this whole myth from the Geoffrey of Monmouth story back in the medieval period, which essentially said that this is the place where Arthur was born, in this cave by this, and he was delivered by this very elusive Merlin. But it also, I just think it's a treasure trove of folklore because of that moment in the 19th century when Tennyson does publish this big work. And you get loads of people in this period visiting Tintagel, sort of reimagining it in their own way. So you get J.M.W. Turner, the famous artist from the 19th century, creating this very beautiful romantic engraving of the ruins up on the cliff face. And I think all of that comes together, and it does really crystallise in St Materiana's Maritime Church. So I would very much recommend anyone who visits, you do need to make that route up through the fields. It is a bit of a trudge, but I do recommend it. It is so atmospheric, and I think the reason I choose Tintagel is because, of course, all of this other stuff that I've just spoken about, it very much is a great advocate for folklore in Cornwall today. But when you go over to St Materiana's Church and you walk through it, you see the realities that people were living. So you see commemorations to people who were shipwrecked. I think there's a really beautiful Portuguese commemoration there for a young chap who died in the 18th century. I can't remember the ship's name. It might be the HMS Anson. I can't quite remember, but I mean, it's beautiful, all of these commemorations, but you see the grueling realities of what seafarers were having to face along this very ragged coastline. But then there's also folklore attached to the church that sometimes gets a little bit lost, I think, with all of the sort of the loud, yes, everything that's so, loud.
Everything very Arthurian.
It is. It can sometimes be a bit too much. But
and you get a King Arthur beanie in the shape of a crown, yeah.
Absolutely. And you can take that little token with you, which I think is lovely. But yes, I think it is lovely to try and find those authentic, genuine histories as well. And so going to the church, you really do get that. You get the sense of how people have lived in these parishes and these communities. So that's really powerful, definitely.
And the other two episodes include trade and fishing and smuggling, and then the third one, shipwrecks and maritime disasters.
Yes.
What I find interesting is it's maybe easy if you are not a person of faith to think the church has no relevance for you, but they have a very important place, don't they, in teaching us about our past, whether we believe in what they represent or not.
Oh, absolutely. They are centres of the community. And I work actually in sort of behind the scenes with the Churches Conservation Trust, which is a great charity as well to try and keep redundant churches surviving in the communities. Even though there's still no religious activity going on, it's about seeing these buildings as historic buildings. And they do absolutely channel all of these different themes that we're talking about. So, of course, they were made by the people who lived in these areas. If we want to learn about the boat builders, for instance, over in sort of Gunwallow, or we want to learn about boat builders and fishermen over in Porthleven, you just need to go to the church to understand how these people lived. And you don't have to be religious. You can step into these spaces, into the graveyards, find some of the names on the graves and learn about the people who lived here. It's so fascinating.
I can see you are absolutely an evangelist for our beautiful churches. If people want to see the stuff on YouTube, what's the best thing for them to search? Because it's on your channel, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I am a bit of a storyteller as well as an art historian by trade. So I sort of go under this persona of Vicky Jenner History, Vicky spelled VIKKI JENNER. And so if you search for my name on YouTube, it'll pop up with my YouTube channel and you can find them. There's a sort of documentary playlist and you'll see other films there as well, all about sort of royal churches as well. There are lots of church-based things and of course looking into the historic value of our churches too. And then if you're an Instagram or a TikTok fan, I'm also under the persona Vicky Jenner History too.
Brilliant. I'm going to be really mean and ask you, which do you think is the prettiest church in Cornwall?
Oh gosh, that's so hard.
I know which one I reckon, but I'll let you go first because you can get in trouble, then I will.
Well, why don't you tell me yours?
I'm going to go St Justin Roseland.
Oh, that's so pretty. That is so
beautiful,
pretty.
On the edge of the creek there.
I almost got married in that church, actually. Yes, it's so beautiful. I agree with that, actually. Although I would say, let me think, St Anthony's on the Roseland is also very pretty and can sometimes get forgotten. So I would definitely make the trip over. And you can get there by boat, so it's a beautiful experience. You can go to St Mawes, get on the boat, and then go round to the St Anthony's Roseland Head. It's a beautiful day.
Brilliant. Vicky, thank you very much indeed. I think we'll both be in trouble for choosing one, but hey, we can live with it. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. Bye.